Good afternoon, folks. I'm Mike, Back to Basics Podcast. I'm going to describe and show you how to build a positive displacement water pump, all out of PVC components, except for a washer, two nuts, and a piece of all thread that you can actually use to pump water. The situation we have is we're trying to pump water out of a old hand-dug well. It's very old. It's deep, and it's still holding water, but it's deeper than your general gasoline-powered water pump. Normally you only get about 12-foot draw, 15-foot draw out of one of those. And the other thing is, I don't really want a gas pump running. I want electric. I've thought about using a bilge pump for like a boat, but they will only work with so much lift. And unfortunately, I'm looking at a depth that's greater than their operating capabilities. This is a very simple little pump. I'm going to go over a few key components with you real quick. The main heart of the pump is actually right here. Some of you may recognize this. This is a union. If you got a leak, instead of digging up 20 foot of line, you buy one of these little gizmos, just drop it in there, and expand it out to fit where it needs to go. They work great. Here's the thing. You ever play with one? You hear them suck? They pump. Double set of O-rings on the inside that seals off, and an O-ring right there that seals it off. Well, that's the heart of this pump. You got that. You got these two deals right here were actually just one-way valves. That's all they are. They're just little flapper valves. There's a lot more unions, fittings, reducers here than you really need. I used what I had. It was all free. None of this cost me a dime. It's just using parts on hand. That's the reason why instead of using a reducing T, it's actually, I got 1.5 inches here. As you'll see in just a second, it all works. Here's the thing. Hooked up like that, it's not going to do anything at all. You're going to have to cap this off. The seal I made, real simple. It's a reducing bushing, something like that. The nut fits up inside of it. There's a washer and another nut, and they're screwed down real tight. That forms a watertight, airtight seal. There's no O-rings, there's no rubber, nothing in there. The nut, a little Teflon tape. I did wrap some Teflon tape around the piece of all thread. All thread, washer, and nut. That's it. That goes in here. And you need that to go in. Now, none of this is glued together. I'm going to put it all together with a jack pump set up. It's going to use a windshield washer motor off of a car as the motor, so I can run it off a 12-volt battery. And hopefully someday a solar panel to keep it charged. Nice thing about this is it's all rebuildable if something goes wrong. Now, water flow direction is this way. You got a one-way valve that's in here, and it's put in. As you can see, it'll only let water flow that direction. You have to have the two one-way valves. They have to be facing the same direction. They'll have little arrows on them. There's an arrow on this one, there's an arrow on this one. Water flows that way. Now what that does, see, you heard it just then. When you draw this up, the area inside here gets larger. So there's a vacuum drawn. That allows water to flow in here. When you push it down, it cannot go back this way because it's one-way valve. It's got to go out this way. There you go. You heard it. It's that simple. And when hooked to a motor, it'll pump all day long. There's a few little caveats to this setup. One, it's a positive displacement pump, which means every stroke, it's going to push the exact same amount of water. What that's going to be, I don't know. I'm going to guess I'm going to run a 1/2 cup. And it don't sound like much, but when you get that thing really pumping, it works just like an oil pump. It's like a jack pump on an oil well. It'll move some water. You cannot ever, at any point, if you cap this end off, if you have an obstruction on the outlet side that prevents water from flowing, it's going to build up a lot of pressure. And once it builds up enough pressure, you're going to blow your pump apart. I've got these two little attachments this right here allows me to screw a water hose in. It allows me to screw a water hose on. It's the same thread as what's on your house, your outside faucet at your house that your water hose goes on. That's the same as what's on the hose. This little jewel is what's going to go down in my well. Again, my water hose is going to screw on here, going to screw on here. Down in the well she's going to go. It's a little foot, hold it up off the bottom. I got holes drilled all through here to allow water to flow. This is also a one-way valve in here, but it's a flapper valve. Both of these are spring valves. For these valves right here, you're going to want spring valves. You're not going to get away with flapper valves. It's not going to work right. You're going to wind up with some reverb and some swash back and forth. You're better off just go ahead with the spring valves on these right here. Right here, flapper valve will work fine. The idea is it's going to fill that water hose up all the way up to here, wherever this is sitting. Water's not going to be able to drop back down. That way it's always going to be there when you're ready to pump. Well, that's it for now. None of this is glued together right now. And like I was talking about, it'll blow apart. Pressure builds up enough. That'll happen with it glued together. If you get an obstruction on this end that's greater than your PVC will handle, which PVC is strong, don't get me wrong folks, you can run your airlines with it. It'll hold up to 150 pounds of pressure just fine. So if you wanted to put a tank in with a pressure regulator, you probably could, but if you have a total blockage on this side, it'll blow it apart. Just a little thing to keep in mind. This is great for watering your garden or your plants. You know, it's not something you're going to be able to run your house with, but if you're looking to get some water out of a pool, a creek, in my case, an old hand-dug well, you want to water your garden, it's the way to go. It's pretty cheap. I'm going to stop it right there, and I'll come back later once I have everything glued up, and I'll show you what it looks like running.